I really don't know how to start. Whatever you want to say, it's just going to be too much for start. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria is the main character in this video. How there can be a better start? He was born in Rio Negro and raised in Medellin. He was the third of 7 children and grew up in the neighboring city of Medellin. His father was a small farmer and his mother was a teacher. Escobar studied at Medellin, but left without graduating. He instead began engaging in criminal activity, selling illegal cigarettes, fake lottery tickets, stealing tombstones, sandblasting their inscriptions, and reselling them. Participating in motor vehicle theft also. In the early 1970s, he began to work for various drug and car smugglers. Escobar began to join car theft gangs, and at the age of 20 was already a household name for car thieves. He and his gang stole cars and dismantled them to sell their parts, and with enough money on hand, Escobar bribed officials to launder his loot. While arrest records have been lost, Escobar apparently sat in a Medellin prison for several months before his 20th birthday. Escobar soon became involved in violent crime, employing criminals to kidnap people who owed him money and demand ransoms, sometimes tearing up tickets even when Escobar received the ransom. His most famous kidnapping victim was businessman Diego Echevarria, who was kidnapped and eventually killed in the summer of 1971. Escobar received a $50,000 ransom from the Echevarria family. His gang became well known for this kidnapping. One of Colombia's first drug dealers was Fabio Restrepo, who shipped about 40 to 60 kilograms of cocaine to Miami once or twice a year. Under Escobar's mastermind, Restrepo was assassinated in 1975, and Escobar seized his market and business. Escobar's meteoric rise also caught the attention of the Colombian Security Service, DAS, who arrested him in May 1976 on his return from drug trafficking in Ecuador. DAS agents found 39 kilograms of cocaine in the spare tire of Escobar's car. Escobar managed to change the first judge in the lawsuit and bribed the second judge, so he was released along with other prisoners. The following year, the agent who arrested Escobar was assassinated. Escobar continued to collude with law enforcement in the same fashion. His strategy came to be known as silver or lead, or money or bullets. Although the Medellin group was only established in the early 1970s, it expanded after Escobar met several drug lords on a farm in April 1978, and by the end of 1978 they had transported some 19,000 kilograms of cocaine to the United States. Escobar founded the Medellin cartel, which distributed cocaine, and established the first smuggling routes from Peru, Bolivia and Ecuador, through Colombia and eventually into the United States. Escobar's infiltration into the U.S. created exponential demand for cocaine, and by the 1980s it was estimated Escobar led monthly shipments of 70 to 80 tons of cocaine into the country from Colombia. As a result, he quickly became one of the richest people in the world, but constantly battled rival cartels domestically and abroad, leading to massacres and the murders of police officers, judges, locals, and prominent politicians, making Colombia the murder capital of the world. Escobar was the wealthiest criminal in history, having amassed an estimated net worth of $30 billion by the time of his death, equivalent to $70 billion as of 2022, while his drug cartel monopolized the cocaine trade into the United States in the 1980s and early 1990s. Escobar was also involved in philanthropy in Colombia and paid handsomely for the staff of his cocaine lab. Escobar spent millions developing some of Medellin's poorest neighborhoods. He helped build roads, power lines and soccer fields. He also built housing complexes for the homeless. Popularity among the locals was rising. In the 1982 Colombian parliamentary election, Escobar was elected as a member of the Chamber of Representatives as part of the liberal alternative movement. Popularity. However, Escobar's political ambitions were destroyed by the Colombian and U.S. governments, who routinely pushed for his arrest. The Colombian judiciary had been a target of Escobar throughout the mid-1980s. While bribing and murdering several judges, in the fall of 1985, the wanted Escobar requested the Colombian government to allow his conditional surrender without extradition to the United States. The proposal was initially answered in the negative, and Escobar subsequently founded and implicitly supported the Los Extraditable organization, which aims to fight extradition policy. The Los Extraditable organization was subsequently accused of participating in an effort to prevent the Colombian Supreme Court from studying the constitutionality of Colombia's extradition treaty with the United States. In support of the November 6, 1985, far-left guerrilla movement that attacked the Colombian judiciary building and killed half of the justices of the Supreme Court. In late 1986, Colombia's Supreme Court declared the previous extradition treaty illegal due to being signed by a presidential delegation, not the president. Escobar's victory over the judiciary was short-lived, with new President Gillo Barco Vargas having quickly renewed his agreement with the United States. Escobar still held a grudge against Luis Carlos Galán, who kicked him out of politics, and was assassinated on August 18, 1989, at Escobar's orders. Escobar then planted a bomb on Avianca Flight 203 in an attempt to assassinate Galán's successor, César Gaviria Trujillo, who missed the plane and survived, but was on board. All 107 people were killed in the blast. Because 2 Americans were also killed in the bombing, the U.S. government began to intervene directly. After the assassination of Luis Carlos Galán, the administration of César Gaviria moved against Escobar and the drug cartels. Eventually, the government negotiated with Escobar and convinced him to surrender and cease all criminal activity in exchange for a reduced sentence and preferential treatment during his captivity. Declaring an end to a series of previous violent acts meant to pressure authorities and public opinion, Escobar surrendered to Colombian authorities in 1991. Before he gave himself up, the extradition of Colombian citizens to the United States had been prohibited by the newly approved Colombian Constitution of 1991. This act was controversial, as it was suspected that Escobar and other drug lords had influenced members of the Constituent Assembly in passing the law. Escobar was confined in what became his own luxurious private prison, La Catedral, which featured a football pitch, a giant dollhouse, a bar, a jacuzzi, and a waterfall. Accounts of Escobar's continued criminal activities while in prison began to surface in the media, which prompted the government to attempt to move him to a more conventional jail on July 22, 1992. Escobar's influence allowed him to discover the plan in advance and make a successful escape, spending the remainder of his life evading the police. As a result, the Medellin cartel crumbled, and in 1993, Escobar was killed in his hometown by Colombian National Police, a day after his 44th birthday. Escobar faced threats from the Colombian police, the U.S. government and his rival, the Cali cartel. On December 2, 1993, Escobar was found in a house in a middle-class residential area of Medellin by Colombian special forces using technology provided by the United States. Police tried to arrest Escobar, but the situation quickly escalated to an exchange of gunfire. Escobar was shot and killed while trying to escape from the roof. He was hit by bullets in the torso and feet, and a bullet which struck him in the ear, killing him. This sparked debate about whether he killed himself or whether he was shot dead. Soon after Escobar's death and the subsequent fragmentation of the Medellin cartel, the cocaine market became dominated by the rival Cali cartel until the mid-1990s, when its leaders were either killed or captured by the Colombian government. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, please click like button and subscribe to my channel.